We ranked every live-action cinematic Batman from worst to best. Hey there everybody! We've seen a lot of fantastic live-action Batman on the big screen, but if we had to sit down and rank them from worst to best, what would that look like? Well, we've done that here, and we're going with the 5 main cinematic Batman. We're talking about Adam West, Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and Robert Pattinson. Now I know what you're thinking. What about Val Kilmer and George Clooney? Well, you just take them. You take them away, you forget about them, because no true self-respecting Batman fan is going to include them here, and I'll tell you why. They don't count. They're no good. Now, if you absolutely must have them as a part of this list, take them, put them way at the bottom. Okay? Way at the bottom. Have the Batplane carry them out to sea and drop them where they belong, okay? That's where they're at. Now, Batman fans are very particular, okay? So we're taking their favorite Batman and we're going to put them somewhere on this list, and if it's not at the very top, they tend to get very upset. So I'm letting you know right now, okay? All of these Batmen are fantastic. Every single one of these Batmen have some strong points. None of them are bad. There's always something about them that makes them great. But somebody's got to be in last place, right? So for here, we're starting with the OG, last place, bottom here, and that's not because he's bad. It's because his version of the character is very much dated by the times, all right? It's silly, it's funny, you know, it's comical, it's got the boom, pow, wham, things that we love, but things that just don't really fit in with today's standards of what people want from Batman, which is something a little bit darker, a little bit grittier, and a little bit more action-packed. But one thing that series and the movie did, because this does count, there was a movie, is it showcased a lot of really great Batman villains, and it did so in a really cool, inventive way, you know, giving each character their own sort of, you know, backstory, the costumes. It did that great, and for that, it's here. It's recognized. At number 4, we're putting Michael Keaton. Now, Michael Keaton is fantastic, and personally, on my personal list, he'd probably be higher. I love this version of Batman, okay? He's just chill. He's just kind of smooth. He's suave. And fans did not think he could pull it off. When he was originally cast in the role of Batman, fans rioted. All right, he was known for movies like Mr. Mom, and they said, this guy can't do it, okay? Does that sound familiar? That kind of thing still goes on today. But he proved everybody wrong by being one of the best Batmans, okay? He was fantastic. Now, Michael Keaton has a chance to climb and be a higher Batman on this list if we get to see more of him, okay? There's rumors going around he's supposed to be in this Flash movie coming up, but with the way DC is going, they're cutting things, they're moving things around, there's really no telling. But at the moment, yeah, he's great, but there's been a lot of good Batman, and he's just a hair below our number 3. Coming in at number 3, we have Affleck, okay, Ben Affleck, who has been in Batman v Superman. That's really the main iteration of this character we've seen. We saw him in smaller moments in movies like The Suicide Squad, but Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, okay, this is where it's at. Now, unfortunately, this was a movie that really divided fans. This split fans. Some hated it, some loved it. Now, you got your Zack Snyder fans who are hardcore, and those same fans right there are in love with Batfleck. So I'm sure there's going to be some mad fans here that I have Batfleck put here in the middle and not up at the top. I'm sorry. A big part of this is, again, just like with Michael Keaton, we haven't had a chance to see more. So the movie that he was in wasn't the best iteration, okay? It wasn't the best movie. Everybody's been waiting to see Batman vs. Superman, and while it does have its strong points, and while the director's cut is much, much better, it's still just kind of a sogged-down story, and that's not really Batman's story as a whole. He's sharing it with Superman, so we don't get to see the best parts of Batman within there. Now, Ben Affleck does a lot of things right, okay? I think he had the right look. His suit is fantastic, probably the best suit. And of course, I have to mention the big action sequence within the warehouse shows that he can really kick some ass, okay? He was a good Batman, but there's just 2 who were better. Let's move on to him. Number 2 is our most recent Batman. We're talking Robert Pattinson, and again, just like Michael Keaton, this casting had fans riled up. They saw him as the guy from Twilight, and they kept saying there's no way that the sparkly vampire from Twilight is going to be Batman. What they failed to realize is that Robert Pattinson had been crafting his career outside of Twilight for the last 10 years with many art house movies, many indie movies. He just stayed away from the big blockbuster stuff because he was just as annoyed with the sparkly vampire thing as you were. He does not like the Twilight movies, and he doesn't like that he had to be a part of them, but he was. They were, you know, a part of his career. So he worked to separate himself with movies like The Lighthouse, okay, with movies like High Life, with movies like Good Time. These movies are fantastic, and they really showcased his acting ability and his dramatic acting ability and his ability to really get raw emotion. And that's exactly what Batman needs. And that is exactly what we got in The Batman, which is a fantastic movie. If you're still holding out and refusing to see it because he was a sparkly vampire, you're wrong. Get over it. It was 10 years ago. It is a decade-old movie that was geared towards preteen girls. Okay, get over it. Well, here we are at number 1. By this time, you must have guessed, we're going with Christian Bale, okay? The Dark Knight trilogy is just the high point of Batman cinema. Christopher Nolan crafted a series here that was both gritty, both comic book accurate in a lot of ways, and then both real life grounded, stepping outside of that comic book world. And it really created just a perfect sort of trilogy. Now, of the trilogy, we would have to go with The Dark Knight as the number 1 film, right? Heath Ledger backed up against Christian Bale made for some of the best Joker versus Batman that we've ever seen on screen. And that's a pretty big statement because we see Joker versus Batman all the time. But this is where it was done best. Okay, Christian Bale often gets mocked for his use of the Batman voice, which, yeah, granted, he went a little grainy, he went a little gnarly, he went a little overboard some of the time, but all in all, these movies are fantastic. Sure, there's more Bruce Wayne than there is Batman in them, but that's okay because Bruce Wayne is who Batman is for the majority of the time. That's who he has to interact with people as, okay? So these movies were less about the upfront action and more about the behind the scenes, what's going on in Gotham, what's going on with, you know, the underworld of crime, and how does Batman have to come into the picture to combat that? And it was done so good. There it is, number 1. I'm sure you guys all agree. Nobody's going to complain in the comments on this one. I'm certain of it. Let us know in the comments who your favorite Batman is. We want to hear it. Don't forget to drop us a follow on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more great content.